I always envisioned my career as being a Chief, and thankfully I'm there for the long haul.
Hey Chiefs Kingdom, and welcome into another off-season edition of The Breakdown. I'm Matt McMullen, and just a couple weeks after talking about Patrick Mahomes' contract extension, we are back to chat about yet another major move that puts the Chiefs in great shape to defend their Super Bowl title in 2020 and the years to come. I'm of course talking about Chris Jones, one of the top defensive linemen in all of football, who signed an extension with Kansas City last week. This is obviously a huge deal, as the Chiefs have now basically locked up the core of players who won it all in 2019 for not just this season, but 2021 as well. We're going to break down what makes Jones so special in today's episode, plus hear from Coach Reid and General Manager Brett Veach. But before we dive into all of that, here's what Jones had to say about returning to Kansas City for the foreseeable future.
Thanks to Brett Veach, my dog, Brent Tillis, the way he's structured everything, he was able to make sure that not only he signed me, but signed Pat and get this thing done. And I'm just so excited to spend the long haul on the back ends of my career with, the organization drafted me. They took a chance. I'm actually ready to work, man. I always envisioned my career as being a Chief, and thankfully I'm there for the long haul.
You have to love that attitude from Chris, and this deal continues what's been probably the best offseason in Chiefs history and one of the best offseasons for a reigning Super Bowl champ ever. The reality for Super Bowl winners is often simple. Guys retire or get big paydays elsewhere. It's guys in contract years or others writing out their final hurrah as a pro. But the Chiefs are different because of their collective youth and the ability on the part of the front office to keep the band together. In fact, of the 22 guys who started the Super Bowl on offense and defense for the Chiefs, all but 2 of them are returning for 2020. Think about that. And as much as we talk about the offense, retaining that continuity on defense is just as important. Remember, from Week 11 through the end of the regular season, this defense allowed the fewest points per game, the fewest touchdowns, the second fewest rushing yards, and the lowest passer rating against in the NFL. Jones was right in the middle of each of those stats. Here's Brett Veach on just how valuable the Chiefs believe Jones is and how you don't just find guys like him in the draft.
There's very few all-around defensive linemen that come out every year, and everyone obviously puts a premium on pass rushers. So it's a little bit easier to find some pluggers in the middle, some big body guys. But, to find a guy like Chris Jones, it's very hard to do. And, when we were going through this exercise over the last few years and once we really, we're dialing it down this off season, if you are lucky enough to find someone that has the ability of Chris Jones, you're going to be picking in the top 5 or top 10 because these guys, just don't fall, and very rare, I should say, that these guys fall. They're just hard to find. There's not a lot of them, and the ones that do get picked up rather quickly. So we knew the talent we had in Chris, and we knew how important he was for our success. So again, there was really no doubt in our mind that we were going to make this work with him and his agents.
All right, let's jump into some numbers to back up what Brett just said. It can be difficult at times to look at defensive players' raw numbers and judge their productivity just because we don't always know what they're being asked to do in their particular scheme. But for Jones, the stats speak for themselves. Since the beginning of the 2018 season, Jones ranks 5th in the NFL in quarterback hits, 6th in sacks, and 7th in tackles for loss. And that's despite missing 3 games in 2019. His 9 batted passes rank 4th among all defensive linemen in that span, and don't forget about the NFL record he set in 2018 with a sack in 11 straight games. The advanced metrics are impressive too. According to Pro Football Focus, only Aaron Donald and Fletcher Cox tallied more pressures than Jones among interior defensive linemen since 2018. And based on PFF's grading scale, Jones' pass rushing ability ranks 2nd in the league behind only Donald in that time. Additionally, PFF has Jones as the number 16 overall player in all of football heading into the season, and the Chiefs just locked him up long term. It says a lot about Brett Veach and his staff that they were able to get this done, and head coach Andy Reid is impressed.
I think Brett's done a phenomenal job with it, and I think you guys have got to know him now, and that relentless personality. Nothing's impossible. It's positive. Let's see. Let's explore. Let's not be afraid to go there. Let's not say that it can't be done. Let's find a way that it can be done. All of those things are how he operates. And that again ends up being something that is contagious with people that are around him. So everybody feeds off of that energy, and that's what's made this whole thing really possible. I mean, I think if you looked around the league, people are going to say, how in the world did they get this done? Well, relationships, relentless work, planning in advance, not waiting to the moment to do it. But I mean, he's been on top of this for a while, and then he got thrown this curveball with the pandemic, which it's not a right now thing. It is right now, but it's also something that affects the future. So he's been relentless on finding a way to get it done where it's not going to kill you down the road with deals. And so there's been a lot of man hours that he's put into this. So my hat goes off to him. I've seen how these things work, and I was around two of the best in the business in Philadelphia that worked with the cap, and so was Brett. I mean, he was around those guys too, but just the job that he's done here has just been tremendous, along with his guys. But he's the leader of that.
That's some high praise there, and it's well earned, as Veach and his staff have navigated this offseason in such a way that they have the Chiefs set up to achieve some really special things moving forward. That includes both Jones' deal and Patrick Mahomes' new contract, and as it turns out, Mahomes texted Jones a few weeks ago after signing his 10-year extension, saying he left money on the table in the hopes Jones' deal could be next. Jones spoke about that and the locker room's desire to keep everybody together.
We both have initially the same goal, create a dynasty, build something special, especially in Kansas City with Coach Reid and all the talent we have there. And we all have the same mindset. We want to keep this team together. So whatever we have to do initially to make sure that we ensure that we stay together, and we also can keep the guys around us together, then we can come together and do that.
Jones' pass rushing ability is a big part of creating the dynasty we all hope is in the works. And it's also important to remember that his versatility sets him apart from others. He's a stud as an interior defensive lineman, but the Chiefs use him in a variety of ways, and he's demonstrated an ability to rush the passer as a defensive end in heavy defensive formations. He even has soft hands, with 2 interceptions to his name and a pick six back in 2018. And if you haven't watched his juke of Blake Bortles in a while, I'd advise you to go do that right now. But first, here's Jones talking about his versatility and his willingness to go wherever Steve Spagnuolo needs him.
Listen, me and Spags have a great relationship, man. And I tell Spags all the time, listen, at heart, I'm a QB, but I'm fortunate enough where you guys can use me at California. Anytime Spags need me to move around, play linebacker, outside linebacker, listen, I'm here for it. So I hope Spags look at this and see that I don't want him to feel like I'm restrained or he's restrained in any type of way. Use me as fit, Put me anywhere on the field. I'm still gonna get sacked, baby. I'm a chasing quarterback. I'm gonna make sure he feel me. So, anywhere on Spags would like to use me, I'm always open for it. I actually love moving around. That's when the defense. That's when I kind of get an offensive problem. Moving around, inside, outside. I can stand up if Spags would like it. I can stand up, play middle linebacker. Whatever he likes.
I love that mindset, and it leads me to one of my favorite stories about Jones. Back at training camp in 2018, Jones was asked what his goals were for the upcoming season. He was coming off a solid season with 6.5 sacks, but his answer made it clear that Jones believed he was capable of so much more. He told the reporters that day that he wanted to lead the NFL in sacks, and despite some smiles from the group, it was clear he was serious. Well, while he didn't quite do that in 2018, he came incredibly close, with 15.5 sacks on the year, which ranked third in the league behind Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt. Pretty good. Then, following the Chiefs' loss in the AFC Championship game that season, he tweeted that Kansas City would make the Super Bowl the next year. Again, people doubted him, but wouldn't you know it, Jones was in Miami a season later, leading the Chiefs to a world title. My point is this: Jones doesn't aim low. He chases greatness, he isn't shy about it, and best of all, he comes through on the lofty goals he sets for himself and his teammates. That's why Jones' tweet following his contract extension has me so excited. He said he wants to win the Defensive Player of the Year award and bring multiple rings back to the kingdom. And based on his track record, I believe he'll do it. And if you ask Jones, way down the road, they're going to make a movie about all this.
It's going to be special. It's going to be special. When we finally retire, they're going to actually make a movie about how successful and how we was able to bend and keep this team together, and how Coach Reid came to an organization who haven't won a championship in 50 years and finally brought them their first championship. The general manager, how he was able to make sure that everything stayed intact, and Brent Tillers, who was able to finesse these contracts and to fit under the cap issue. And the head scout Ryan Nutt, Mark Donovan, the Hunt family, the list will go on, but they're definitely gonna make it'll be like a Michael Jordan Last Dance, but it'll be a beautiful movie, man. But they definitely gonna make a movie about this.
All right, everybody, that's all I have for this one. Please stay healthy and safe out there, and do me a favor, enjoy what this team is building. It is so unique to have a young, championship caliber team together for multiple seasons, and we're lucky enough to have that here in KC. Take care, everybody. This is Matt McMullen, signing off.